You know that feeling when you snag a cheap webcam or a budget PTZ kit, set it up for a live stream, and then the image freezes, the focus hunts like a lost dog, and you end up wishing you'd spent a little more? I've been there, and it's why I hesitate every time a new camera pops up on the market. The temptation is real: save a few $100s, roll the dice, and hope it holds up when you finally go live. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What I'm about to break down is whether the PTZOptics Move SE 2010 80p really feels like a smarter buy or just another glossy promise that will leave you scrambling for a backup. First off, the Move SE sits in a sweet spot that most hobbyists and small to mid-size creators overlook. It's a full-featured PTZ camera that doesn't require a separate production truck. The SE designation means it inherits the award-winning PTZOptics core, so you get the same reliable pan-tilt-zoom mechanics that studios have trusted for years, but it adds auto-tracking and a wider output palette. For anyone who's ever tried to juggle HDMI, SDI, USB, and an IP stream at the same time, the fact that this single unit supports all four out of the box feels like a genuine time saver. You can feed a live stream to YouTube over USB, send a clean HDMI feed to a hardware encoder, and still have an SDI line for a broadcast switcheroo without swapping cables. Ease of use is where the Move SE either wins you over or trips you up, depending on how comfortable you are with menu navigation. The on-screen menu isn't a wall of endless submenus. You get a clean layout that lets you toggle between preset positions, adjust tracking sensitivity, and switch output modes in a handful of taps. That said, the auto-tracking settings do require a brief learning curve. The camera uses a built-in AI algorithm that follows faces or objects, but you have to tell it what you want it to track: person, vehicle, or generic motion. In my tests, once you set the tracking mode, the camera locks onto a speaker walking across a stage with surprising steadiness, but if you forget to switch modes in a multi-person panel, it can chase the wrong face. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something beginners should be aware of and maybe practice with before a live event. Autofocus confidence is another hot topic for PTZ cameras. Many budget units rely on a slow contrast detect system that never quite catches up when you zoom in fast. The Move SE uses a CMOS sensor paired with a fairly quick phase detect AF, which means the focus snaps to a speaker's face even when you're pulling the 20 zoom in real time. In low-light environments, a church basement, a dimly lit conference room, the sensor's larger pixel size helps preserve detail without flooding the image with noise. I ran a quick side-by-side comparison with a comparable 1080p PTZ that lacked the CMOS advantage, and the Move SE kept facial features recognizable at 10 lux, while the competitor turned the same shot into a grainy mess. For creators who can't control lighting perfectly, that low-light competence is a practical strength. Stabilization, however, isn't something you get for free on a PTZ unit. The Move SE doesn't have a mechanical gimbal. It relies on the precision of its motors. When I panned quickly between two speakers, the motion was smooth enough for most streaming purposes, but there was a faint wobble at the extremes of the 20 zoom. If you're planning to shoot a fast-moving sports demo or a high-energy concert where the camera will be tracking a moving object across the whole field, you might notice that slight jitter. For static talks, panel discussions, or product demos, the movement is more than adequate. One of the biggest draws is the NDI-HX upgrade. If you're already in an NDI workflow, you can add the optional NDI module and get a low-latency IP stream that integrates with OBS, vMix, or any NDI-aware switcher. The price of the base unit at $999 already feels competitive for a 20 PTZ with auto-tracking, but the NDI add-in pushes the total closer to $1,200. That's still cheaper than buying separate PTZ, encoder, and NDI bridge boxes, but it's a factor to consider if you're budgeting tightly. Battery confidence is a question that pops up a lot with portable PTZs. The Move SE is designed for studio and venue use, so it relies on external power rather than an internal battery. In practice, that means you won't be scrambling for a fresh battery midstream, but you do need a reliable power source on location. For a small church or a university lecture hall that already has power outlets, this isn't an issue. For field crews that need true portability, You'd have to bring a portable AC or a power bank with an AC inverter, which adds weight and complexity. Who should buy this? If you're a creator who runs weekly webinars, a small production company that wants to upgrade from a static webcam to something that can follow a speaker without a